Hello, hello, hello. So this is #3 of our card journaling inspiration book. So if you've joined me for the last 2 pages, let's go back and have a quick looky. We started with this page here with the beautiful butterflies from Tim Holtz and some kind of squirrely whirly sentiments, not sentiments but script, and some other lovely bits. Pictures are on my blog if you want to see them. And then I had a play with Lou Collins' typewriter, steampunk typewriter, and one of Tim Holt's stamps, done some scribbling on it to make it a little bit, I don't know, a little bit of something else. I've put in my recipe, so if I come and I go, oh, I want to make a card like this, then I've got everything I've used in my little kind of book ready for me. Same with the previous. So today I want to do a big flower. I want to do a big flower thing. And I'm going to use one of the Delusion stencils, and I'm going to do a little bit of heat embossing. And with the stencil, instead of kind of using it like a regular stencil, I'm going to take my heat embossing pen into it just so I can capture a little bit. I'm going to do something a little bit different. Sorry, cup of tea ready always. This is a rather large cup. It does a very decent sized cup of tea from my parents. I've inherited a big love for tea, should I say. All my glasses feel a little bit smeary. Let's give those a quick wipe. We might get a bang on the door or something. My other half is due home for lunch any minute now. So I shall just continue now. Oh, I've taken a selection of colours from Distress. Obviously, if you've got a watercolour palette, or you work in a different way, use what you've got. Now, I want my black embossing powder as well. I just had a thought. There it is. So I keep my embossing powders in these little lunch tubs. I tried a couple of different ones. I tried they were ones that were smaller, but these normally fit a sandwich in, but they stack nicely as well and a bit colourful, so I've gone for them. So now let's have a little look at some of the products that I'm going to use. So that fabulous kind of diamond shape, kind of messy, scribbly. And then we're going to use this stamp set from Stamps by Me, which was one of the giveaways. It was one of the freebies that Create and Craft done. I did order mine through the website because I am a club member, so I got mine free through there. But look at the size. Let's put something behind it. Look at the size of that stamp. That is a massive stamp. So we're going to do a bit of that. So first things first, let's move my book out of the way because I need to do the heat embossing part of what I want to do first. So let's start with the stencil. I'm going to bring in my stamping tool. I'm using Tony's one today. And I'm going to remove the foam pad. And let's get that stencil out of the packet. Now, where did she just put it? Oh, it's there. Nightmare. Let's flip you around, guys. So this is the first time using this stencil. I think it's a really nice size stencil. I really like the kind of scribbly, messy, grungy shape it is. What I'm going to do is, once I've placed it down, I realise that it's kind of dark on dark. So I'm going to put a piece of paper just to bring in, just so you can actually see what I'm working on and where. With this with this stencil, I'm going to use an embossing pen just to go around the edges of the actual stencil. I'm not going to go into every single one, but I'm going to go into quite a few with my Versamark pen. If you've got something similar, obviously that works. Otherwise, you can use the Versamark re-inkers and a paintbrush. That will work just as well. But this is the pen that I'm using for this. I do wish they'd done a slightly more fine liner pen. I think that would work really well. These are quite thick nibbed. There's one end which is like a brush nib and the other which is like a felt tip pen end, which is fine, but I would like something just a little bit finer personally. What I'm going to do is, so you don't have to watch me drawing in all of these, I'm going to speed this up so we can move on to the next step. So now I've got my outline drawn in my Versamark. I'm going to bring some gold embossing powder in and we're going to heat set that all over. As you can start to see that I've not done all of them. I've got kind of patches of that diamond shape. I'm just going to tip my excess back into my pot and then we can heat set that. When heat setting, I always make sure that my tool is as hot as it can be before taking it to my cardstock, because that prevents more warping. So just if you're new to heat embossing, I then just work down the card until I have heat set all of it, and it looks really sparkly and lovely. So now it's time to stamp out that beautiful large flower. I have popped down some watercolour cardstock and I'm using an archival ink. This is permanent ink, which is really nice to work with. I do go over it a couple of times with the ink to make sure I've got really good coverage. And then I'm just going to start to watercolour this, and I'm going to use 3 colours. We're going to do it in kind of a bit of a like ombre in on each petal. So I'm starting with my lightest colour, which is a yellow. I'm using distress inks, but obviously guys, whatever you've got. I do kind of come back to this and alter it slightly because I don't think my yellows are quite the yellow I was going for, but I'm starting, as you can see, just to create that colour on the outline, and then I'm going to dry that to make sure that I don't get any bleeding. So I've got a really nice kind of crisp colour line between these two, and I'm going in, and I think this is the pumpkin pie. I will have a complete list of all of the products I've used on my blog along with this video, so if I don't mention a colour, it will be in that. And as you can see, I'm just really kind of I'm not doing any watercolour techniques in the sense of how we blend colours. I'm literally just laying that colour down to make sure that I've got a really nice kind of bright colour. Then I'm coming in with some lovely red. Once again, I'm drying that layer before I move on to the next one, so I've got that real definition between the two. I just thought this is a really different way to kind of colour or paint, to get those kind of different colours, and I wanted to make something that was quite bold in colour, and this does turn out kind of fun. So I'm just going to continue working on this and reheat setting. This is a point where I go, okay, so I'm not happy with that yellow, so I've just brought in, I think it's Daffodil Delight, or it will be pineapple something from Stampin' Up. Sorry, my brain isn't quite switched on and I don't have it all to hand at the moment. So I'm just going in straight over that yellow area to kind of really kind of build up that colour, so I get a real nice contrast between them. I'm going to move on to the leaves, and I'm using 2 of the colours from Tim Holtz and Distress. Just thought these were nice strong colours to use. Once again, I come back in because I'm not happy with the yellow I've got, so I've got one of the Stampin' Up pens. They're really, I love their watercolour pens. Well, they're not quite watercolour, they're watercolour markers. They're really fun to use. I'm and I am trying to find an alternative one to use. And I've got a black fine liner pen now, and I really wanted to create a bit of definition between the colours. So I'm taking my fine liner pen and I'm drawing in some extra lines into the stamped image. I just wanted to create that kind of real kind of what's the word? Really kind of define between the colours, make it quite bold. So I'm going to come in with my lightest green. I'm going to go around the leaves all over, and then what I'll do is I'll start to add a darker colour after I've done a full coverage. That's how I tend to work when I want to add a little bit kind of definition, so that you can start to see that I'm getting those different tones in the piece. And when I'm working on watercolours or doing watercolouring, I always turn my project. It's just easier to then turn your project than it is to kind of work in an odd way. So what I'm going to do now it's dry, is I am actually going to use some scissors and fussy cut this out. So we'll fast forward this bit because you don't need to see me doing fussy cutting. So now I'm all fussy cutted out, I'm just going to take my black fine liner pen and just go around any kind of areas where I haven't gone in so tight with the scissors, if I've got any white bits that I want to cover up. So I've got like that kind of nice black edge to it instead of having any white bits. So I'm just going to go around that and just cover up any of those bits that I feel are too white. So I'm going to bring everything back in. So I've got my flowers, and then I've also got this lovely panel, and I want to make it a little bit more rough and ready. So I've just taken a ruler and I'm just going to tear off that edge. I still want it to be a kind of straight edge, but I want it to kind of have some of that kind of bumps and textures. I'm going to do that to both sides. So once again, just holding that ruler in place and then working down the cardstock to just tear it off. And then I've got that really fun, lovely panel to work with as part of my background. I'm just going to glue this down. I could use tape runner, but as I've said before, but for things like this going into a journal, I do prefer to use glue because I feel like it just will last a little bit longer than a tape pen. Which tape pens are fine, obviously. I use them all the time. So I'm just going to give that a good rub down because I don't want that obviously to move. And then you can see the flower sitting on top with that lovely kind of background. Really, really fun, really striking. So I'm just going to play around with the composition for a bit until I'm happy with where I'm going to put it, and then I can glue it down. Once again, I'm making sure I've got plenty of coverage of glue on this because I don't want it to lift. I don't want any of my edges to come up. I want it to be nicely covered when I'm putting it into my book, because when it comes to books like this, I want it to last. I want to kind of look back in years to come and go, oh yeah, I remember this card. I want to make something like it again, or I remember this card. Maybe I'm never going to make it again. But it's just having that nice kind of thing to look back on. So I've just popped a bit of scrap paper over it just so I can give it a good rub down and I don't catch any of the edges. As you can see, it overlaps slightly, so I'm just going to snip those bits off because when I close my book, I don't want that to lift. I just want to make sure that they are going to be down in place and no lifting. So I'm just, as the curvature of the book, I'm just popping a bit more glue, giving it a rub down just to make sure it's held in place. Just using my burnishing tool there just to give it a little rub. There we go. I've just got glue everywhere, so I will sort that out later. So let's move on to the sentiment, or something that I'm going to pop there. I kind of looked at the sentiments that were at the stamp set, and they're really nice, and there's some fabulous sentiments. None of them quite fitted in the area that I had, and I kind of played around with some ideas. So I picked up Tony's from Stamps by Me washi tape, which is really nice. I felt I didn't feel like it had quite the sentiment that I wanted, but as you can see that those washi tape pieces do work really, really well. They are really nice to work with. So I put like a combination of what I could do. And those are they are really easy, fab grab and goes. So then I bring out the Tiny Sentiments by Tim Holtz. This is a fabulous stamp set that I do use quite regularly. So the first stamp that I've picked out from the Tiny Sentiments was Own Your Dreams. I think this is really nice kind of saying. I'm just rubbing off a bit of ink because I've got a little bit on the side and I don't want to get that onto the piece. I've just stamped that first, and then we're going to add another sentiment to this as well, and I end up choosing Hello Friend. So then at the moment it reads Hello Friend, Own Your Dreams, which I thought was like kind of a nice kind of message. So Hello Friend, Own Your Dreams, and the next one I choose is You Are Enough. And I think that's that whole kind of being able to kind of create my own sentiment in that way is really nice with these Tiny Sentiments by Tim Holtz. So it ends up saying, Hello Friend, Own Your Dreams, You Are Enough, which I think sometimes we need to tell ourselves that. It was, yeah, this combination just works really well for me. So next I'm just going to put my kind of #3, so I know that that is my page 3. I'm just going to go around any of those kind of white bits that I've missed that kind of really stick out onto that black, with the black cardstock behind it, because I want to have that kind of definite line and I don't want the white showing through. But we are almost finished, which is really great that we've been able to do page 3. And I do think this would make a really nice card. I did think afterwards that I had a really nice kind of die cut from Stamps by Me, which would have worked really nicely behind it. So I'm going to just get that out and just show you, like, it's got the geometric shape, and it would have looked really nice sitting behind it, but there's no way I'm pulling that off now. So I know for next time to get that out to play with before sticking it all down. That's that page done then. So we've done some heat embossing onto black cardstock and gold. We've got the ombre effect with the flower, and next time I will make sure I've got the recipe ready in the book, so when I want to recreate this I can. I hope you can join me next time for some crafty fun, and hopefully this has given you some inspiration for your card making or your makes. I'd love to hear from you, and I shall see you all again soon. You can find me at www.craftykelly.co.uk. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram and even Twitter. Just look for Crafty Kelly and Jordan and you'll find me somehow. Anyway, thanks very much for tuning in, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye now.